Right then guys, how's it going, and welcome back to your football predictions, the series where we try and predict all of the upcoming Premier League football. We've just finished watching Game Week 19 Part 1 over the weekend, and today we are going to be predicting Game Week 19 Part 2, which is all of the midweek football and the one game on Saturday as well. So those were my predictions from over the weekend. I got one correct score so far. I'm actually recording this before Newcastle play Arsenal tonight. So at the moment, I got that West Ham would beat Burnley 1-0. Hopefully I'm wrong that Arsenal will beat Newcastle, but we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully I'm wrong. So yeah, one correct score for me. So far I've gone through all of your predictions, and I think I've got 5 or 6 people who are currently on 2 correct scores. So if everyone gets tonight's game wrong, then I will put everyone's name on the screen right now. If someone has got it right, then we have got 3 correct score winner, and I'll put them up now. So yeah, I am doing this early, but yeah, there's so much football. I'm trying to be prepared. Well done to the guys on screen right now, which are this week's winners. And remember, if you want to be shouted out in my next prediction video, which will be Sunday, so it's a little while to go now. It will be Sunday before we get into the round of Game Week 20, which is all midweek football again. Yeah. So get your predictions down in the comments below for these 6 games going on over the next 4 or 5 days. But as always, we will go through those games now. Start things off Tuesday night at 6 o'clock on BT Sport. We have got West Ham taking on West Brom. So 2 good games for these two over the weekend. West Ham went and won their game against Burnley 1-0. I spoke about their striker situation in my video and literally said, is Antonio going to come back and is he going to score a goal? And he did exactly that. And West Ham went and won 1-0. And then West Brom, again, I actually said in my video that I thought it would be very close. And Wolves, have been on some pretty poor form, their opponent. West Brom got the better of them and won that game 3-2. So wins for both of these teams at the weekend. Who do I see coming out on top Tuesday night? I have backed West Ham to another narrow 1-0 win. I went against West Brom and they beat Wolves. Can they prove me wrong against West Ham as well? Maybe. But West Ham, I think, have been looking good recently. Wolves hadn't been so much. But, I think it could well be a close one. If West Brom have got their confidence now, maybe they can continue it on. But backed West Ham for me. Next up, again on the Tuesday at 8:15 on Sky, we have got Leicester taking on Chelsea. So 2 teams who both, again, won their games at the weekend. Leicester beat Southampton 2-0, which is a great result. Southampton have looked good this season. And Leicester are actually undefeated now in their last 5 Premier League games, winning the last 2. So great form from them. As I say, Chelsea did win their game at the weekend as well. They beat Fulham 1-0. However, their form of late has not been as good. In the last 5, they've lost 2, drawn 1, and won 2. In terms of a prediction, I think it's quite a tough one. Leicester are sat 3rd in the league at the moment. Chelsea are sat 7th. There's actually 6 points between them. I think for either team, this would be a huge result. And I quite fancy goals in it as well, but it's just really tough to decide who I think might nick it. So I have sat on the fence instead, and I've gone 1-1. But I'm interested to know what you guys think down in the comments. Moving on to the Wednesday night now at 6 o'clock on BT Sport, we have got Manchester City taking on Aston Villa. And it's actually the first of 2 Aston Villa games that we will be predicting in this video, because they've got a game Wednesday against Manchester City, and we'll get onto it. They also play at the weekend as well. But first, Manchester City. They got a win at the weekend, 4-0 against Crystal Palace. John Stones scored twice, which was great for my fantasy team. And Sterling got a pretty good free kick, which may or may not make up for the penalty he missed the other night. But Manchester City suddenly have turned it on. I mentioned in my last video they hadn't had a great start of the season. They've now won 5 Premier League games in a row, are up to second place, have a game in hand over Manchester United, and just 2 points behind. So, from what looked very doom and gloom, all of a sudden looks pretty good. Taking on Aston Villa, and as I say, they didn't have a game at the weekend. They're actually 3 games in hand over quite a lot of teams. And if they were to win all 3 of those games in hand, they could well be within second, third place. One of those games is against Manchester City, which won't be quite so easy to do. Aston Villa's recent form, last 5 games, lost 1, drawn 2, won 2. So it's not quite 5 wins in a row like Man City, but it's still pretty decent. In terms of a prediction, I have backed the favourites. I've gone 2-1 Man City, but Aston Villa have had a pretty decent sized break. I think the players will be fired up for this game. And I don't see any reason why they can't get something out of it. But I already sat on the fence with the last one, and I didn't want to do it again. So yeah, that is what I've gone for. Next up again on the Wednesday night, but later at 8:15 on BT Sport, we have got Fulham taking on Manchester United. So I mentioned it already, Fulham did lose their game at the weekend against Chelsea, just 1-0. I did say I thought that game could be pretty close, and I did also say that maybe Fulham could have grabbed their, was it going to have been their 6th draw in a row, but they weren't quite able to do it when Chelsea got a 75-80 minute winner. But yeah, as I say, Fulham had drawn 5 or 6 in a row until the game against Chelsea. Currently sat in the relegation zone still. But Brighton won their game at the weekend against Leeds, which means Fulham are now 4 points behind Burnley, who are in 17th. So, yeah, this is the thing. Those draws are great. It's all points, but the minute you get a win, that's 3 points further. It is a big difference. Can they get a draw or even a win against Manchester United? I think it'll be tough. We just saw Manchester United draw their game at the weekend. They were 0-0 against Liverpool. I think Fulham would probably take the 0-0 if they could. Good result for Manchester United. They kept their unbeaten streak going. They are now 4 wins, 2 draws in the last 6. And it was a pretty uneventful game, to be honest. I didn't watch the full thing. I don't know if you guys did. Bruno Fernandes just wasn't quite at his best. I think Luke Shaw got a lot of praise from that game. I think he did quite well. Can they pull it together and get a win against Fulham? I'd think so. I've got 1-0 Manchester United. Bruno is such a main part of that team, and if he's having a slightly off day, it just showed what happened in that last game. But I don't think he'll have an off game very often. But I've kept it tight. It's 1 goal in it for me. Moving on to Thursday night now at 8 o'clock on Sky, we have got Liverpool taking on Burnley. So I've already mentioned Liverpool. They drew their game against Manchester United at the weekend. Weren't at their best. Both teams had chances, to be fair. Either team possibly could have won it on a different day. 0-0, probably a fair result. As I say, I didn't watch the full game, but from what I did see, it was a bit end to end, but nothing really concrete from either side. I spoke in my last prediction video about Liverpool's defensive woes and what they were going to do. They did end up going for Fabinho and Jordan Henderson in at centre back, and they both look pretty good. That there wasn't a huge amount maybe going on for them, but what they did well. And one of the commentators was talking about it, was it Gary Neville or whoever, was basically saying, there's a lot of talk about the defence, but it was actually the front three that wasn't quite clicking. There was a couple of quick 1-2s that maybe in the past would have just worked seamlessly, didn't quite work for them in that game. I think it might work a bit better and they might have a little bit more luck against Burnley. But Liverpool haven't won a Premier League game in 4 now. Have actually drawn 3 and lost 1, which I think was the game against Southampton. So, yeah, still sat 3 points off the top spot in 4th place. I suppose you would say it is a bit of a dip in form, really. But it doesn't take them long to get back, does it? So, yeah, watch the space in this one. As for Burnley, they lost their game against West Ham at the weekend, as I mentioned. I also mentioned they've dropped down to 17th place now after Brighton won their game against Leeds. So, Burnley currently sat 4 points ahead of Fulham, who were in the relegation zone. But Brighton do still have those two games extra played, and they're only 1 point ahead of Burnley. So, yeah, they're 4 points ahead of the drop zone, but with games in hand over Brighton, it's not where they want to be, but it could be worse. In their last 5, they've won 2, lost 3. So that is still more points than Fulham draw in 5 of their games. Anyway, prediction. It's so tough to tell because, as I say, if Salah, Mane, Firmino, whoever turn up and fancy it, then they could probably get 4 or 5. If they turn up and maybe it's not quite working, maybe it could be a lot closer game. I've backed Liverpool. I've gone 1-0 again. I've gone tight again. I mean, these games, it could it be 1, could it be 10? But I'm going to give the respect to Burnley because I do think they are a good, hard-working team who, were kept Manchester United at 1-0 just the other week as well. So maybe they could nick something out of it. Who knows? Again, let me know what you think down below. And the final game of the video, all the way to Saturday at 8 o'clock on Sky, we have got Aston Villa taking on Newcastle United. So as I say, the second Aston Villa game to predict. It's not easy when we've not actually seen them play in the Man City game yet, because what happens in that game may well help predict this one. If there's an injury, if they turn up and have a steamer against Man City, or maybe they don't have a great game. I don't think it'll make too much of a difference because what we do know is that Newcastle will undoubtedly be useless. Although we haven't seen Newcastle play, or I haven't seen them play Arsenal yet either, so I'm a bit in the dark here. You guys will know this because I'm going to post this, I think, either straight after that game or tomorrow morning. But anyway, I've backed. I'll just tell you now. I've backed Villa 1-0. I've gone low scoring for these games. I think all of them pretty much low scoring. I backed Villa to win 1-0. I mean, if they go and get thumped off Man City 5-0 and Newcastle somehow beat Arsenal, then maybe it might be a bit different. But the thing with Newcastle is that even when we play well against one team, the next game is a completely different mentality and a completely different side. Steve Bruce has said that the gloves are off and that he's doing it his way now. Well, God only knows whose way we've been doing it for the last 18 months or whatever, the last year, because whoever's that way was awful. So I hope Bruce's way is a bit better. Yeah, I mean, as I say, I think what he's trying to say is that the players are not pulling their weight at the moment, which I think I'd probably have to agree. I think Brucey gets a lot of stick, and I think it is rightfully so. But I think the players need to also take a bit of responsibility for playing useless. So we'll have to see what happens in the Arsenal game. But yeah, I'm just going to go with the 1-0. I've not seen either team play yet, so it's a bit tough. But I think Villa are a good side, and I don't think we are. Newcastle's last 6 games, we had last 6 games. It's actually the exact same form as Wolves. 4 losses, 2 draws in the last 6. And this is the interesting thing. Newcastle and Wolves' form is worse than all teams below us currently in the table. So, there is a lot of chat about Newcastle slipping down. I think Wolves might have to watch their back as well. Wolves have actually played 2 more games than Newcastle as well. They are 3 points further ahead, however. But form-wise, we aren't being great. So, that's where I'm going to leave that. And that is it, guys. So those are my predictions up there for the games going on throughout this week and the one game on Saturday as well. It is a FA Cup weekend, so there is plenty of other football to watch, but just the one Premier League game that'll be going ahead. And remember, if you want to be shouted out in my next predictions video, be sure to get all of your predictions for these games down in the comments below. I go through all of your predictions before the first game kicks off, which is Tuesday at 6 o'clock. I make a note of all of them, and then I shout out the winner in the next video, which will be on Sunday, ready for the midweek football again. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week. If you are watching this on Tuesday night, and you still want to get your predictions in for maybe the Wednesday, Thursday football, that's absolutely fine. I do come back and check, so if you're watching this late, don't feel like you can't still get involved. But yeah, thank you all for watching. As always, drop a like on the video. Enjoy the football this week and over the weekend, whether it's the one Premier League game or the FA Cup football. And I'll see you on Sunday, ready for the next round of predictions. Alright guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.